Hi everyone, welcome to Cruising with Stuart and Jeff. Today I'm going to be going through our top 17 tips and tricks for first time cruisers. Things that we wish we'd known before we went on our first cruise. It's worth watching till the end of the video as the tips are not in any order and you wouldn't want to miss out on any gems.
Hey guys, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Stuart.
And welcome to Cruising with Stuart and Jeff.
Carry on essentials. Carry on board your essentials and don't leave them with your suitcases with the porters. This should include any medications, boarding paperwork like passports, visas and set sail passes. And a great tip is to consider packing a swimming costume for anyone who might be going in the pools, hot tubs, water slides. These activities will be quieter on boarding day. Your luggage that you give to the porters might not be available until late in the afternoon. So get your holiday started as soon as possible. You should also pack CPAP machines. Distilled water is complimentary if you arrange it with Royal Caribbean prior to your cruise, and you'll even supply an extension cord. Muster drill. Once you're on board, it's a good idea to visit your muster station straight away and get it out of the way, as it's mandatory and you need to visit the muster station before the ship can sail. Watch the safety video through the Royal Caribbean app. This can be done as soon as you can connect to the ship's Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi package is not needed for this. We do this when we're waiting to board. Drinks package. A drinks package is not essential for cruising. However, if you like a drink, it's worth doing the maths to see if it could work for you. Drinks package. A drinks package is not essential while cruising. However, if you like a drink, it's worth doing the maths to see if it could work for you. We have another video that covers everything about the drinks package, how to save money on it, and useful tips to get the most out of it, and drinks that you could be allowed to bring on board with you. I'll pop a link to our video in the description below. Wi-Fi. Once you're on board and waiting to board, download the Royal Caribbean app if you haven't already done it, and connect to the ship's Wi-Fi to view the activities for your sailing. It's also a good idea to put your mobile in airplane mode to stop any roaming charges when you're at sea. Your phone's likely to connect to the at-sea network, and lots of people have come home to lots of charges, and this can run into hundreds of pounds. Travel on the day of your cruise. Do not fly in on the day of your cruise or drive long distances. It's really not worth the chance of missing your cruise through flight delays, cancellations, or possibly just getting stuck in traffic or a breakdown. We strongly recommend travelling the day before and staying in the hotel overnight, knowing that you'll be fully refreshed. Travelling a day or a few days before your cruise also allows you some sightseeing opportunities and soaking up some of the local culture in the port towns. Luggage tags. You will get an email from Royal Caribbean with your cruise documents around 30 to 45 days before your cruise that will tell you your port details and also include a copy of your personal luggage tags. These will need to be printed, folded and stapled onto your suitcase handles so the porters know which stateroom to deliver them to. I have quite a few tips on this in a separate video and I'll leave a link in the description below. If you've lost your luggage tabs or forgotten to download them, speak to someone at the terminal and they'll give you assistance. When to book a cruise. One of the best ways to save money when booking a cruise is to book as early as possible, and in some countries like America you're able to reprice your cruise if the price goes down. This is also possible if you book another cruise on next cruise on board, even if you live in other countries like the UK. Hey guys, we're about halfway through our top 17 tips for first time cruisers. I'd like to ask you to consider hitting the like button or maybe subscribing to our channel. It really helps us out. We have new weekly videos all about cruising. If you want to ask us any questions, just pop them down in the comments section and we'll do our best to answer them as soon as we can. Now sit back and watch the rest of the video. Online check-in. You need to check in online, or the easiest way is to check in through the Royal Caribbean app. A tip is to first select your boarding time. You can skip everything else, as the earlier time slots can go quite quickly. The time slots are not always placed by Royal Caribbean, as they simply just want everyone on board as quickly as possible, but it's worth getting these earlier times just in case. Once you've saved the check-in time, go back into edit your check-in and add all the other details. You can do this 45 days before your cruise, and the earlier you do it, the earlier boarding time you can snag yourself. The sooner you board, the sooner you can start enjoying your holiday. When you check in, be prepared with things like your passport, a selfie photo, a credit card. This is because the ship is cashless apart from the casino, and the credit card that you log will be charged at the end of the cruise. I don't recommend a debit card because Royal Caribbean puts a temporary hold authorisation on the card to make sure you have available funds to use while on board. These holds can stay on your card for over a week from getting off the cruise, and this means to use a debit card, your account balance won't be available to you until your hold drops off your account, which can cause you issues. On a side note about debit cards, don't use them in ports, as some areas like the Bahamas and the Caribbean have a lot of reports of fraud, and it's harder to dispute payments on debit cards. We take cash to these ports, or we try and use Apple Pay just to eliminate the chances of fraud, so take some small notes for payments in ports. Once you've completed all your check-in details, you are able to print your set sail pass, which is your boarding pass. You can also attach a set sail pass to your Apple Wallet, or perhaps just take a screenshot on your mobile. Book activities. Activities are loaded onto the Royal Caribbean app weeks before your cruise, so you're able to check out what's going on board. The app also gives you the chance to book some activities like the Broadway shows, ice skating shows, the flow rider or the comedian show. The booking of shows is not possible on the smaller shows, and that just becomes a first come first serve. We recommend getting to the shows 30 minutes beforehand to get yourself some good seats. There's always waiter service for some drinks before. If you forget to book shows, or they are sold out, you can turn up to the shows and just stand in the standby line, and in most cases you'll still get in. Travel agents. A good travel agent will save you time with booking, will check price reductions and can deal with any changes to your booking that needs to be done, and I advise travel agents, and they're full of knowledge. Seasickness medications. Even if you've never had seasickness or movement sickness before, always bring some medications with you just in case. Some people wear travel bands or other over-the-counter medications like Dramamine or Bonine, which is a less drowsy medication. These medications could save you losing days of your cruise, so definitely worth it just in case. Cabin location. When you book a cruise, you have to be aware that some cabin locations are more desirable than others. At the front and the back of the ship, you'll feel more movement than what you would if you were in the middle of the ship, and between floors of other cabins will be quieter than perhaps under the pool deck or the dining venue. When we book, we try to choose a stateroom between cabin floors and more towards the centre of the ship. Obviously, this can increase the cost of your cruise, and these more desirable cabins might cost a little bit extra. You have to weigh up the cost of more desirable location and offset that against comfort. If you're on a budget, you might want to book a guarantee stateroom. This is a cabin that is selected by the Royal Caribbean, and the room is allocated closer to the cruise date. These staterooms are staterooms that haven't been chosen by other customers, so it's likely that there'll be a less desirable location. However, it can be a cancellation or someone who has upgraded the stateroom, so it's really pot luck. Facebook groups. It's a really good idea to join a Facebook group for the ship that you're going to be boarding, and in most cases, your actual sailing will have its own group too. An example of what to search for on Facebook might be Independence of the Seas, 17 July 2025. If it doesn't appear, try it without the 17, as some groups might have the 17th and the search misses them. Within the group, you're able to ask questions and also meet new people and get ready for some of the groups that are arranged, like a pub crawl or a casino slot pull. We've done both in the past, and meeting new people has been really good, so it's definitely something to throw yourself into. The Cruise Planner. The Cruise Planner is an online login page that allows you to book excursions, dining, drinks package, very similar to what you can do through the Royal Caribbean app. It's best to book everything you can before the cruise, as once you're board, things will be more expensive. One thing to note is that Royal Caribbean has sales, and these sales seem to be on all of the time. They also use dynamic pricing, which means that although they have sales with percentages off, the actual top price, the original price, changes too. So it's best to ignore the percentage reduction off and just look at the bottom price that you're going to be charged. Also, the biggest tip is to keep checking the prices after you've booked as they go up and down. If the price goes down, you can cancel through the Cruise Planner by looking at the purchase history and get a full refund, although it takes about a week for it to land back on your card. As soon as you cancel an item, you're able to repurchase the item at the lower price, which can save you hundreds when it comes to things like the drinks package. Gratuities. This is something that confuses first-time cruisers and can be controversial. You can prepay your gratuities when you book your cruise, or if you don't, these gratuities will automatically be added to your stateroom account. These charges are per person in the cabin and cover your stateroom attendant, dining staff and backroom staff that you might not even come into contact with. Bar staff are not covered by the daily gratuity, so if you buy a drink at the bar, a gratuity will be added as well as tax. The drinks packages already include tax and gratuity. Although I don't recommend this, you are able to adjust the amount that you pay for the automatic gratuities once on board by visiting guest services on the first day of your cruise. They can be raised or lowered or even removed completely. Some people do this if they only want to tip the staff that they come into contact with, or if they prefer to tip in cash rather than being charged to their onboard account. The staff on board do a fantastic job and deserve the gratuities, but I do understand that the tipping can be different in different cultures and areas around the world. Theme nights. Be aware during your cruise, different dress codes and theme nights will happen, and you can check them in the Royal Caribbean app for which ones will be on your cruise. But typically there'll be formal nights, white night, Caribbean night, 70s and 80s nights and others, depending on the length of your cruise. Check out our video on dress codes. I'll put a link below in the description, but just remember these are recommendations and you don't have to do any of them if you don't want to. All aboard time. The all aboard time is highlighted in the app and is posted wherever you get off the ship. Remember, this is the ship time, not the port time, so please be careful in case that the time zone has changed when you visit in a port. We always aim to be back at the ship a minimum of an hour and a half before the all aboard time, just in case of traffic, especially if you're travelling any distance or perhaps by train or buses. Ports of call. Obviously, you can book excursions through Royal Caribbean and external vendors, or just do your own thing, but it's important that you do some research of the ports, as sometimes these ports are classed as working ports and it might be in quite an industrial area. Do not miss out on things that you can just do just for the sake of doing a little bit of research before you go. Well guys, thank you for watching our video of the top 17 tips for first time cruisers. Consider the liking the video or subscribing to our channel or hitting play on one of the next videos. See you all next time. Bye for now.